So, DDP and Alex Pereira have been going after each other quite a lot recently. It started by Pereira saying he would go down and reclaim his belt against DDP after DDP beat Adesanya, because I guess Pereira's just trying to do everything Adesanya can't do. And Pereira has a fight at 307, but let's be real, Khalil Roundtree is not gonna beat Alex Pereira. So it's now looking like DDP versus Pereira is a fight we could see happen in the very near future. And I think this is the perfect time to kind of talk a little bit about this fight. And first of all, I just want to talk about when I think this fight should take place. And honestly, I want to see DDP versus Strickland first, because the first fight was so close, it could have definitely gone both ways. And a fight like that isn't good for a champion's legacy. Like after DDP's career's over, and we talk about his career, people are going to use the Strickland fight to discredit him. And I think it would be good for him to clear that up before he gets into a fight with Alex Pereira. The problem is that Chimaev and Whitaker are fighting, and the UFC is going to want to give the winner of this fight a title shot. But honestly, I think the winner of this fight could wait for a little bit. Because if it's Whitaker, he already lost to DDP once before, and Chimaev just isn't reliable. He pulls out of fights left and right. So like he makes all the fans wait, the UFC should also make him wait. Now the problem for Pereira is that Ankalaev should be next in line for a title shot. I have no clue why they gave him Roundtree instead, and Ankalaev apparently really wanted to fight in Abu Dhabi, so he's gonna be fighting Rakic. And Rakic is a very good fighter, and if Rakic wins that fight, I also think the UFC could make him wait, considering Rakic is coming off a loss. But the real problem is if Ankalaev wins, right? Because then he's undoubtedly deserving of a title shot in the eyes of the fans. But DDP versus Pereira is definitely the bigger fight. And I'm sorry Ankalaev, you're more deserving, but we know how the UFC operates. They will probably prioritize making this super fight when they have the chance. Like they did when Adesanya fought DDP. Now, where do I think this fight should take place? I think this fight should take place at light heavyweight, to be honest. I know Pereira wanted to move down to middleweight, but honestly, I think a fight at light heavyweight favors them both more. I think the legacy for Pereira is at light heavyweight and heavyweight. Plus, if he moves down to middleweight, he's gonna be severely weight drained, especially after getting accustomed to light heavyweight. So if DDP wins, people are just gonna use that to discredit his win, which is pretty justifiable, by the way. So I think it's gonna be better if DDP moves up instead. And I think DDP even said that's what he wanted to do, because then he's gonna fight Pereira at his best, and the fans can't make up excuses if Pereira loses. Now I want to get into talking about the actual fight, and we can start off with middleweight. I think it's highly unlikely that the fight is going to take place here, but there's still a possibility. And in this fight, DDP is obviously not going to want to stand with Pereira. He's quite lead leg heavy, which makes him very open for leg kicks, which is one of Pereira's specialties, and he's also quite open on the feet. But I still think the reality here is that Pereira would most likely lose. Don't get me wrong, at middleweight Pereira is still a beast, but I just feel like the weight cut has such a negative effect on him, especially his shin, cause he got chinned by Adesanya, but he was able to take clean shots from someone like Jiri at light heavyweight. And overall, every outside factor is just going to be against him here. He's going to be weaker, his cardio is also going to be compromised, and DDP fights with his physique, so I can just see DDP bullying him in the grappling, especially since Pereira's never fought a grappler as good as DDP. Now, light heavyweight, I believe it's a completely different story. Pereira is not going to be weight drained, and he's also going to be fighting closer to his natural weight. This means that his shin probably won't be as affected, his cardio also won't be as effective. Not that he has any problems with his cardio, but the less weight you cut, the more energy you're gonna have. And as I mentioned earlier, DDP gets hit quite a lot. And people might say he was able to take clean shots from someone like Adesanya and just shat his way through. But Adesanya ain't Pereira. Pereira is one of the hardest hitters in the sport. Everyone who gets touched clean by this guy's left hook has been severely hurt. Except Bruno Silva somehow, but you get my point. Someone who gets hit a lot is not going to perform too well on the feet against someone who hits really hard. And DDP is usually just walling forward and getting into exchanges. But I think it's going to be very different in this fight, because I know his chin is goated and all that, but so was Jiri's, and he got put to sleep. So I think DDP is going to be a lot more hesitant to enter into boxing range. And at kicking range, he's going to get absolutely destroyed by Pereira. Pereira is a way better striker, and as I mentioned earlier, DDP stands pretty lead leg heavy. So I think his legs are going to get absolutely destroyed by Pereira's leg kicks. Now, can DDP still win? Absolutely, but the key to victory is to wrestle Pereira. every time someone has done well against him, it's been because they've taken advantage of his lack of grappling skills, which obviously aren't that good. And I think out of everyone Pereira has fought, DDP definitely has the best grappling out of every one of them. So this fight could get very competitive, but the problem is if DDP is going to want to take down Pereira, he's going to have to enter into boxing range or set up his takedowns by getting into exchanges. And if he does that, he's going to run the risk of getting extremely hurt. And even if he gets Pereira down to the ground, Pereira has improved a lot in his grappling. Like, he survived against Jan Blachowicz on his back for an entire round. Granted, Blachowicz isn't a better grappler than DDP, but I still think it's something you have to factor in. So at light heavyweight, I'd go with Pereira, but at middleweight, I would have to go with DDP. But regardless, I think this fight would be crazy. Both of them are some of the most entertaining fighters to watch right now, and I think this fight would sell like crazy too. So if the UFC is watching right now, make this happen. But I think that's it for today, guys. Check out my last video where I ranked every current UFC champion based on how good their boxing is. But with that said, thanks for watching, subscribe, leave a like, let me know in the comments who you think will win, and share this to every DDP fan you know, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.